So I'm a little sick, so forgive me if my voice gets a little not, great. Issues with this movie aside, there's nothing quite like a film like this around this time of year to get me in the Halloween spirit. I appreciate it, and I can't wait for October. Haunt is directed by Scott Beck and Brian Woods, the writers of A Quiet Place. It stars Katie Stevens, and it tells the story of a group of friends who, on Halloween, decide to go to a local extreme haunt and end up getting way more than they bargained for in a bit of a traumatic way. In a world where extreme haunts are the norm and places like Blackout and McKamey Manor are somehow still allowed to function legally, movies like this carry a certain harrowing realism to them. Extreme haunts are scary. I'm a guy who absolutely loves horror, and extreme haunts and the notion of them freak me the fuck out. You're signing your life away and basically giving people the right to essentially legally torture you. If you're an adrenaline junkie and that's your thing, and that's appealing to you, more power to you. But for me, no thanks, I'm good. So now you have Haunt, a movie that dives into the world of extreme haunts, emphasis on the extreme, and what you end up with is a film that doesn't necessarily reinvent the wheel, but still delivers a fun Halloween horror film that does a great job at putting you in the spirit of the season. At its core, it's kind of similar to Hellfest, and it's a lot of fun. Where Haunt ultimately succeeds is in capturing that Halloween spirit perfectly. Not only through its gorgeous claustrophobic cinematography and wonderful production design and beautiful sound design, not even because of its amazing haunted house setup, but also just in terms of the cold, dreary autumn atmosphere that it sets up before they even get to the haunt. It captures a certain unflinching, honest realism in the purely mundane start of this film. It's not your typical Halloween movie vibe, it feels a lot more honest. A bunch of kids with no real plan just trying to find something spooky to do on Halloween, and then stumbling across something that's totally fucked. It's easy in a film like this for the cast of characters to be very obnoxious and unlikable, but the movie didn't really fall into that trap. The entire bunch of them are likable enough, if not a little bit underdeveloped, and Katie Stevens is by far the standout there. Harper's not only wildly fleshed out and sympathetic and innocent, but also is kind of a badass from the get-go. She's really easy to root for, and Katie Stevens' performance, for me, was easily one of the standouts of the movie, and probably one of the things I enjoyed most about it. I really do want to praise the technicals here, though, because this movie is impeccably well directed. The sound design here is on point. The directors know what kind of movie they're making. And this movie is kind of similar to A Quiet Place in how much it relies on good sound design. Haunted house effectiveness is reliant on the atmosphere it creates, and there is no better way to create atmosphere and tension than with good sound design. And once this movie gets going, it really does a good job at making you feel the constant overarching dread that these characters are feeling. And pretty soon, as you realize what they've gotten themselves into, you yourself find yourself tensing up and cringing at every little creak, every footstep, because you know there's danger coming with it. Add to that the brilliant cinematography that really does a good job at selling the menace of the crazies that are running this haunt. The shot of the devil crawling out of the tunnel is one of the most imposing things I've seen in a film like this in a while, and you've got a recipe for a really well-delivered horror film. Now, the movie isn't without its faults, and for me, the biggest problem with this movie lied in its editing, and it kind of ends up being a double-edged sword in that regard. For a good majority of the movie, the characters are all split up from one another, and as a result, you've got a lot of parallel action going on, and that can be really effective. But my problem with this movie is that oftentimes it cuts away from the action and leaves you to fill in the blanks when you get back. Character A will be in one location, and then it will cut away to characters B and C, and when it cuts back to character A, they're in a completely different predicament, or they're in a totally different location, and you're forced to try and figure out how they got there. Now, there are plenty of context clues, so it's not a particularly difficult task to fill in those blanks, but it does leave the movie feeling a bit disjointed here and there, and I do wish that that felt a bit smoother in the long run. But that also works to this film's advantage. It places the audience in the same scenario as the characters in question, and as a result, we're left just as confused and frightened and totally unsure of what's going on or what's going to happen next. My only other real issue with this film is that I think it could have used with a bit more world building, at least as far as its villains are concerned. The crazies running the haunt do end up feeling a bit flat, and while I don't need some crazy, convenient exposition dump, I would have at least liked to know a little more. The movie doesn't really give you too much to go on, and it's a shame because we're treated to what's supposed to be some kind of big dramatic reveal complete with horrifyingly great practical effects, and it's never explored. And when you have the movie telling you that you should be paying attention to this thing and that it's some kind of big dramatic important reveal, only to have it never fleshed out at all, it kind of leaves you wanting more, even if just a little bit. Still, all that being said, I really enjoyed Haunt. I had a good time with this movie, and I'm really glad that it came out when it did, because it did a wonderful job at putting me in the Halloween spirit, and now I can't wait for it to be October. If you're looking for a really technically well-made Halloween horror movie to put you in the mood, check this one out. It's fun, and it's gory, and it's brutal, and it's really unnerving because it's about a real-life subject matter that happens all the time. Give it a watch. I'm gonna say that Haunt is solid. Like I said, it doesn't exactly reinvent the wheel. It's nothing groundbreaking, but at the same time, it knows what it is, and it's just trying to be a fun, grisly horror movie that delivers, and I think it does deliver. I would definitely recommend it, and I'm planning to revisit it in the future around this time of year. As always, guys, thank you so much for watching. If you like this channel and you want to see more, click down there. Like, comment, subscribe. There's a Patreon link down in the description if you want to donate to this channel and help us grow and make new, better quality content for you all to enjoy. You could be like these cool people right here. I would really appreciate it. Even $1 would help. It would mean a lot. But even if you don't, thank you so much for watching anyway. I appreciate it nonetheless, and I will see you all very soon.
Do you want to see my face?